In episode number 250, the big 250, we cover the announcement of the Super NES Classic. They announced that right on time for this milestone episode.
We also have our picks from the Netflix July 2017 editions. These are just the ones that are most important. Who cares about the rest?
We also know exactly what kind of movie the Batman is going to be, and that comes straight from director Matt Reeves.
And our comic book highlight this week is Batman number 25.
All of this and more on today's show. Hello and welcome to the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke every single week, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Emperor Kelli and Little Leo. He needs a Star Wars name now, too.
Yeah, like I mentioned last time, we'll come up with it, and we haven't come up with it. So failure on our part as parents.
We're terrible parents
We can give him a Star Trek name.
No.
I do like Star Trek more.
I do like Star Trek more, too. But it has to be because you're Darth Vader Daniel. Mm-hmm. I'm Palpa Kelli. Who's another Sith Lord or things?
Darth Maul?
But then he's Darth Leo. That's just...
Well, they're all going to be Darth something or Emperor something.
Not necessarily.
Sidious?
I'm sure there's... Who's that guy with all the arms? General Grievous?
Can't really work Leo into that name, though.
We'll figure something out.
For any new listeners, the way the format of the show works is first we cover some news ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more, and then we follow up and end with a comic book highlight of the week.
Before we get into all of our news and all of the exciting stuff we have, though, I do have a public service announcement of the week.
I feel like maybe you have covered this before in the past.
But it only recently made me very angry.
It's recently a problem?
It's recently a problem. Now that I'm my public service announcement. If you see a pregnant woman, don't just walk up and touch her stomach. Maybe ask permission, or if she's family, then that's different. But if it's someone you've seen once at work and they walk in the door, don't just be like, oh, look at that belly, let me touch it.
It is kind of intrusive, though, isn't it?
Yes, extremely.
I'm not a woman. I'll never be pregnant. But I can only imagine, like, even if any part of me that people just touch and have no permission for, I don't know, I guess I would also be, let's say I was some bodybuilder and I was known for just being humongous. I think I would also be like, whoa, back up. And I wouldn't like people like grabbing my arms or grabbing my back. So I can only imagine what it's like if you have a life you're carrying and protecting, and then people who, once again, not in your immediate family, just walk up and immediately start touching your belly. Right.
And that's the major thing, what you said right there, like a life that you're protecting. You become so overprotective of your stomach, you don't even know. Because it's like, it's your child. You're associating that with your child, and people are just walking up and touching it. Mm-hmm. And so it's not only just my child, but it's also me. Mm-hmm. And so when people put their hand on my shoulder to get my attention, or, my arm or something like that, that's fine. I get that. You're getting my attention.
That bugs the shit out of me
personally.
Does it really? I can't stand that shit. If people walk up and, especially if they're going, hey, and then they grab like my elbow or my shoulder, it's fucking use your voice. Like, talk to me. I can't stand when, especially if it's in all the places I've worked at, customers like come up and touch me. I don't like it. Excuse me, sir. Like, that will be enough. That is sufficient.
Well, thankfully I haven't had any customers touch my stomach, but it's people that I don't really know. Mm-hmm. I see them at work. I've maybe spoken to them once or twice, but because my stomach is out there and I'm with child, I am apparently public property now. So, and I have to fight myself not to be extremely rude back to them, because that's really the only way that you come across when you're like, don't touch my stomach. Or if you step back, you just come off as rude.
See, you seem to care about that. I would very easily be like, whoa, back up. Don't touch me.
Well, I'm about to start like touching theirs back too. Just be like, oh, so I can touch your stomach now? Is that...
You need to.
Is that what it is? I can just touch your stomach?
But you're going to come across that one person who's like me, who's going to say, yeah, go ahead. And pulls up their shirt like, here you go.
Here it is, right there. So that's my public service announcement. Pregnant women are not public property. Leave their stomachs alone.
And with that, we can jump into the news for the week.
Speaking of which, I'm sorry, I'm going off on another rabbit trail. I recently discovered what news stood for.
Rabbit hole?
Rabbit
You do
hole.
this every time. Rabbit hole.
Trail, whatever. Rabbit holes go a long way down too.
Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Rabbit hole.
It's called a rabbit trail.
It's called a rabbit hole.
It's called a rabbit trail.
Going down a rabbit hole.
No, you go down a rabbit trail.
Let us know, Brokettes. Is it rabbit trail or rabbit hole? At Reasons I'm Broke, Facebook.com/The Reasons I'm Broke. Go ahead and go down your rabbit trail hole.
Trail hole. I discovered what news stood for.
Is that true, though? Like, did you actually research it? Did it actually does it stand for what you think it stands for?
Well, it popped up on my Facebook, and then we were watching TV today, and it popped up again.
It did, but Adult Swim said it doesn't stand for that. And I just fast-forwarded because I didn't give a shit.
Yeah, because they were making up some other bullshit.
All right, what does news stand for, then?
I have to Google it now because I forgot.
So have you found it? Do we have it now?
I have. It's noteworthy events, weather, sports.
That is not at all what... Oh, wait, noteworthy events. So we're the... Is it just knee? The knee for the week?
Yes, this is our knee.
There's no
for
weather
the
or
week.
sports in this.
We can talk about the weather. It's fucking hot, and sports are there. There we go. Now it's the news.
And some people consider gaming a sport.
There you go. Gaming is a sport. What are you talking about? There's leagues.
Is the Pokemon League a sport then?
Yes.
Card games, are those a sport?
Yeah. Well, do you consider poker a sport?
I consider it a game. Maybe it's a mental sport, but I guess so is baseball. You know what? Sure. Everything is a fucking sport. A game. Every game in the world is a sport.
All things are sports.
So kicking it off with Nintendo, what ended up making very many gamers, including everyone on my Twitter and Facebook and all my close friends too, get really nervous and agitated and excited at the same time because we know the kind of work that is going to have to go into trying to get one of these precious fucking things.
Following the popularity of the NES Classic, Nintendo will be following up with the Super NES Classic, set for a September 29th release.
They said it wouldn't happen. People speculated this would never occur, that the Nintendo Classic was going to be a one-off thing. They weren't going to do a sling of systems. And then out of nowhere, almost a year later, the Super Nintendo is coming to stores, and I'm sure it'll be just as fucking limited as the original. What I hear a lot of people say is, maybe Nintendo learned from their mistakes from the Switch and the Nintendo Classic. And I'm like, you fucking just said Nintendo in that same sentence. They know what they're fucking doing.
Oh, yeah.
And no, it's not a matter of learning lessons. It's a matter of, we're only going to release this many. One of the things about the Nintendo Switch, and this is why I don't blame them for the numbers on the Switch, is coming off of what the Wii U sold. There's no way they were going to bring out and pump out millions upon millions of Nintendo Switches. Because if they did, game over. That's it. People are willing to wait until they produce more, much less than the risk of, oh shit, now we have millions of these fucking things sitting around.
Well, it's like with the GameCube. I remember people were lining up forever to get the GameCube because they created that demand.
The GameCube was different, though, because I remember when I lined up at Target, and I was very excited, and I think it came out right around the same time as the original Xbox. There was something else it was competing against. And the GameCube ended up being one of the lesser selling systems overall. At Target, I think I was one of 11 people in line to get one of these things. So the GameCube is not a good example because it did not do well at all for them. Neither did the Wii U. And people compared Wii U numbers with GameCube as far as like the popularity of the system overall. And now that we have the Wii, which was a massive hit, which again was very shorted because they were coming off of the GameCube, which again did not do as well as they wanted it to. So the Wii was out of circuit for a while, and then it only helped them because of the popularity, the demand. And then they came into the Wii U, which was like, oh shit, this did not sell as well as we wanted. So for the next console, of course, they were going to cut back just in case. Because again, heads are going to roll if you take that chance and go, no, this one for sure people are going to buy. You don't know. You don't know until day one. You don't know until people pre-order the systems. And even then, the pre-orders aren't exactly an accurate gauge of how well it is going to sell to any consumer that just walks in. To the parents, for the kids that say, I want one of those Nintendo Switches. They're more spontaneous than anyone else. And I'm willing to argue that probably the biggest chunk of your market, because of the holidays, that's where a ton of these systems fly.
It's so smart, though, that they do these. I mean, I know you're saying, oh, it's because they didn't sell to me the first time. No, it gets that demand up there. I remember the day after it came out, I walked into work and someone's like, hey, I got 3 Switches in my trunk. You want one? And I'm like, no. But there you go. They just sold 3 because they were anticipating making a profit off that. So they're selling all those too, which they're assholes. But
so you stand on the same thing as I do, where they are dicks. Me, Purple Swordfish, and Eric on Twitter, we're all kind of talking about it very briefly, and we were saying, like, who do we blame? Do we blame the retailers for not doing a better job of withholding that product and not selling it to scalpers? Or is it mainly the scalpers' fault? Or is it not even the scalpers' fault? They're just taking advantage of the market. I came to the conclusion of there's only so much retailers can do, especially having been that I worked at GameStop for 8 years. It's like, how am I supposed to know that this guy didn't just go to a different Target or a Best Buy or even another GameStop, a Walmart, and picked up one of each system at those stores as well? There's only so much I can do. I can limit it, and then if they want to come back the next day and buy another one, fine. If they want to tell their friends, that's technically another person. There's only, once again, so much the retailer can do. But it is the scalper taking that action of actively going out to these stores and taking away one less console from a consumer who does not just intend to sell it on eBay.
Well, it's also on the consumers. They shouldn't be buying from scalpers anyway.
That's true, but when push comes to shove and you really want the system, people get excited for these things.
Course.
And yeah, some people have the extra money to pay an extra $30, $40, $100 to be able to get that system before the next shipment.
So we both agree that Nintendo's smart for releasing these in small amounts.
If it's even a purposeful thing. Like, we don't know if that's actually the thing.
It probably
If
is.
numbers are up on the Super NES compared to the classic NES, then yeah, you can say they quote-unquote learned their lesson, but I mean, it's still one of those things where it's Nintendo. They'll probably bump up numbers a little bit and under-anticipate the popularity that is the Super Nintendo.
But you also brought up a great point earlier this week when we were talking about this, about how Nintendo's going to squeeze even more money out of us.
So I read earlier on in the week that this pretty much confirms that the Virtual Console is not coming back anytime soon on the Nintendo Switch. That this is going to be how they sell you your classic games that you want to buy and you want to play over and over again. Nintendo is an innovative company. They're innovative, not in the creation of their consoles, not in changing the way that gamers play. They're innovative in figuring out ways to sell the same games to you over and over and over again. By not releasing Super Contra, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario RPG on the latest console, which is the Nintendo Switch, you've now got consumers by the balls in which you say, you can play all of these Super Nintendo classics, and all of these have that one hook, that one game that everyone goes, I fucking need to play that again. And you go, here you go, the Super NES Classic, it comes with all of these games for $80, as opposed to saying, here's the one game you wanted to play for $5 or $10, like your Pokemon Snap. They released the the Nintendo 64 Classic tomorrow, Kelly.
I've already bought it.
And they put Pokemon Snap, and then
here's
whatever
all my
other
money.
fucking games. It doesn't matter what games.
I need some Pokemon Stadium in there too. And then
they can even just say, fuck, it says on the box, fuck your Pokemon Stadium, Kelly. Here's Pokemon Snap. $100, please. You will admit.
There it is. There it goes. Bye, money. See you later.
Because now you've got people buying $80 worth of product as opposed to $10 for just the one game that you wanted to play online. So that's how they're doing it. And then later on, for the next console, or even with the Nintendo Switch, if in 3 years they said, okay, we've sold enough NES Classic, Super NES, and then Nintendo Classic, now we're going to release all of these all over again, in waves, of course, because we're not stupid, on the Nintendo Switch, and say the return of the Virtual Console. Now you can have all of your favorite games on one system. And then people are going to buy it again over convenience.
Yep.
That's innovative as fuck.
They're brilliant.
It's so fucking smart. So what are the games that are going to come on the Super NES Classic, Kelly?
This is a shit ton of games. I'm going to try and get through these without messing up any names this time.
So, you want to switch off back and forth? Would that be easier for you?
Let's go ahead. Contra 3, The Alien Wars.
Donkey Kong Country.
Earthbound.
Final Fantasy 3.
F-Zero.
Kirby Superstar.
Kirby's Dream Course.
The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past.
Mega Man X.
Secret of Mana.
Star Fox.
Star Fox 2.
Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting.
Super Castlevania 4.
Super Ghouls and Roses. Oh no, Super Ghouls and Ghosts. It should be Super Ghouls and Roses.
Ghouls and Roses? That makes it sound like a romantic horror game.
It's Guns N' Roses, but Super Ghouls and Roses.
Super Mario Kart.
Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars.
Super Mario World.
Super Metroid.
Super Punch-Out.
And Yoshi's Island.
All of those games for $80.
That's totally worth it.
Is it?
Your like Fox Star
that's what we're getting. Yes,
is in there. That's the only reason you're buying it.
Like I told Bobby at Cuban Slim on Twitter, I am paying $80 to play Star Fox 2, the never before released Star Fox 2 that was canceled for unknown reasons, although players speculate that it is because they had the N64 about to come out and they wanted a Star Fox title in the first couple of years of that N64's release. It would not have made sense for them to release Star Fox 2, a pretty much completed game, on the Super Nintendo at the end of its lifespan and then release another Star Fox on the N64. You would have paid all that money for marketing, the release, the production of that game, and then have the N64's release suffer because they just played a Star Fox game on the previous system. So now you have, for the first time, an official release. It's been out on the internet and people have done translations, they've done some fixes, but now this is the official release from Nintendo. And to play Star Fox 2, you will have to complete the first level in Star Fox, the Super Nintendo Star Fox, which is like not even a price to pay because everyone's going to play Star Fox anyway.
Oh, I got to play this game to unlock my other game.
I remember in high school, back in computer-aided drafting class, we knew the workarounds to the computers in which, they had the blocked websites, but then there was a website that would let you browse within a different browser, so you were technically completely open to the internet through this website.
Oh, of course. How many looked up porn?
Not one of the guys that was there looked up porn. The only time porn got downloaded was when they accidentally downloaded Spider-Man, the complete movie, and ended up being not Spider-Man. Because there were a lot of trolls even back then.
Well, yes.
One of the best ones, it was Kangaroo Jack and not Spider-Man. So that was one of the ones where it's like, fuck, this is goddamn Kangaroo Jack. But with that website, we went and downloaded these emulators and we got to play the Super Nintendo games on the computer. I don't know what it was about Super Nintendo that it ran best on these early PCs. Maybe that's what it is, that they were just early and these games were, classic to us. And they downloaded, I told my friend, because he was the expert at this shit, I told him, please download Star Fox. I've never played Star Fox. I love Star Fox 64. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And it was difficult to play on the PC because you're using the keyboard and you can't really control it. Right. It's not the same as having an N64 controller or in this case a Super Nintendo controller. So I remember that being like my first negative experience with the Super NES one. I was like, I'll just play the 64 when it's way better. But now, many years later, I'm like, I can actually play this as it was intended, as the lords at Nintendo intended, with a controller. On my high-definition television, I can play the classic one, in which they've done fixes. Now it runs smoother than ever before, which some could argue, like, no, give us the older stuff where it ran with a bit of lag and but it's like, come on, man, just fix the game. This is how the creators, they pulled a George Lucas, with Star Wars. So there's an argument to be made, but with Star Fox 2, this is the game that they intended. This is the release that they intended. And now officially you will get to play the sequel, which is the second ever official sequel to the Star Fox series. The first was Star Fox Adventures on, once again, the GameCube, as you brought up. But after that, they haven't really released a true sequel. Maybe Star Fox Command would count as one, but that's considered out of canon now, so who knows? But Star Fox 2, just to be able to see those new characters that never saw the light of day, hell yes, $80 to play fucking Star Fox 2.
So this console will come with one HDMI cable, one USB charging cable with an AC adapter, and two wired Super NES Classic controllers.
And as we mentioned before, this is going to come at a retail price of $79.99. Is this before your time, Kelli? Do you have any interest in these games?
I do not. This is before my time. The only games I think I played on this system wasn't that when all the Disney games came out? So you had Aladdin. You had Lion King. Those were the only two I played on it. I
was a Genesis kid, and because, back then you got one or the other,
right.
And I went for Genesis because of Sonic the Hedgehog. But I did get to play the Super Nintendo at my cousin's house, and we always played Donkey Kong Country. And so I have a lot of great memories playing that, Street Fighter 2, and there was one more.
Wasn't there a Ninja Turtle game?
There was one on the NES. I don't know if there was one on the Super Nintendo. I never had one. I don't remember there being one on the Genesis, but I could be wrong. I just, the games I played on the Genesis were what was available at Blockbuster because I didn't get to buy them. Now my parents, maybe you got to rent it for 3 days for $20. Like those prices were ridiculous back then. I don't know if you remember. It was like movies, you got a 5-day rental, games, 3-day rental, bitch, and twice as much.
Well, and then they got super smart with Pokemon Snap because you rented it, right? And then you have to return it, and then you got to pay an extra $1 to print out your stickers. But you had to do that shit.
Otherwise, your pictures are gone forever.
Forever.
So myself, Bobby, and Scott from the Lazy Gaming Guys are all in this trio. This is like the Triforce of the Super Nintendo, in which we're watching out for each other and saying, okay, these are the places you can sign up for notifications, which bestbuy.com, go there if it's not released yet by the time the episode releases. But we are trying to figure out the best way to be able to pre-order one of these each. Like, hey, if there's one, then you're able to pre-order 2. Can you get an extra one for me? I'll PayPal you. Like, Scott told me he works till 2 a.m. And that day that they announced them, he's like, I'm going to be working at midnight. And I'm like, I got you, man. If they have them up, I'll try to buy 2 if they even let me. And then you can PayPal me. And they haven't gone up since. So it's up to, I guess, Best Buy's notification system. Every now and again, I'm refreshing the GameStop page. And it's just a waiting game because it is going to be a little bit harder to get these. When the Classic NES was first announced and the pre-orders did go up, I was still working at GameStop. And I remember they were up for a day or two. And I'm like, yeah, I could pre-order one, but I don't really want to. Like, the only thing would be to maybe get one if one of my friends has one and it released and it was hot. And I didn't regret it. I was like, I'd never wanted one. But the Super Nintendo one, hell yes, I want to play Star Fox and Star Fox 2.
If they come out with an N64 one, I'm going to have to get it.
Is that inevitable, Kelly? Will that be the next one on the line?
I sure hope so, because they'd put games on there, like your Star Fox game would be on there, 007 would be on there.
Maybe, because Rare still has that.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. That's sad. Mario Kart, so that I can kick your ass in Mario Kart for once in my life. Super Mario 64. Hopefully all the Pokemon games, Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2. Oh, I loved those games. Just for the mini games. I didn't want the rest of it. Just the mini games. That's what I need in my life. Could they put the Toy Story game on there? I liked that game, too.
I played the Genesis one. I never played the 64 one.
Oh, man, I still got it in a tub in the other room. We can whip it out, blow on that cartridge, slam it in there a few times.
So let us know if you're excited for the Super Nintendo Classic or if there's another one. And that reminds me, too, when they announced this new console, this Classic re-release, out of the woodwork came all of the people that are like, I have the original. Why would I buy this? It's like, okay, so that's not for you then.
Yeah, it's fine. It's for those of us who couldn't afford the original Mr. Moneybags.
Or some people are saying, I emulated this. I have over 100 Super NES games. It's like, okay, well, again, this isn't for you. You already have an emulator. Not
just
everything.
Respond with, well, I'm happy you're so privileged, but the rest of us.
Or such a pirate. Maybe they're pirates.
They could be pirates.
That's emulation, right? You're pirating the games.
Yeah, that's true. We should lock them up.
No, you say, we're happy you are bold. Because some of them are listeners. So they're very bold, Kelly.
We're happy that you have these things.
And with that, let's head on over to what's new on Netflix for July 2017.
This is not the full list. You can search it online to find the entire list. This is just the things that we find important to us, because really, what other things do you need? So first up, we have E.T. the Extraterrestrial. I will not be watching this, but you can enjoy that. That
scared you, right?
It terrified me.
Found out my manager, Chris, was also scared of this as a kid. Super
scary, because he's like, and then, like, there's guys in suits and lights and...
Back when this was a children's movie?
Yeah. No, terrifying. I remember watching it at my aunt's once, and I'm like, what am I watching?
I might have been creeped out at E.T., but I was never scared of E.T. I was definitely scared of Chucky from Child's Play. According to my mom, Gremlins scared me as a kid.
That movie made me mad.
You saw it for the first time the other night.
It made me very angry.
And I saw it for the first time in over 20 years.
Yeah, your mom let you watch movies you should not have seen. Okay, we've established this. We've talked about it before.
It was a different time, Kelly. Okay. But it did not hold up like I thought it would.
Yeah, it made me angry. I'm like, where's the animal rights? Why are you being so mean to these cute little mogwais or whatever?
Mogwai. Next on the list is Disney's The Mighty Ducks.
I think I've only seen this once.
I've seen the sequel more than the first one.
We also have Free Willy.
Another one my neighbor used to watch all the time, and I never owned, and I like orcas a lot, but
How'd
that
you
was
know
it.
your neighbor watched it?
The neighbor that was the same age as I was. Like, there was another family that lived underneath us at this apartment complex, and since the two kids were about the same age, we used to hang out and watch movies together.
Oh, I thought you were like peeking in their window or something. Like, oh, they're watching it again.
Next on the list is Matchstick Men, one of the Nicolas Cage movies I really do enjoy. At least I liked it back when I saw it in theaters. I haven't seen it since then, so this could be another Gremlin situation.
Also, Punch Drunk Love.
One of the movies that Adam Sandler did that was not goofy like a comedy, in which I remember Clayton specifically said, it's because people didn't watch this in theaters and it wasn't a huge hit that he kept doing stupid bullshit. And he was like, I mean, he was blaming the audience for, you guys don't want to see serious Adam Sandler movies. You guys want more goofiness, and that's why he's been doing more of that. The other one was also the Comedians, I think it was called. It was another serious one in which he had a bunch of comedians come on the movie, and once again, it didn't do as much money as, say, Pixels.
I don't want to see any Adam Sandler movies, so...
You might like Punch Drunk Love. It is legitimately a good movie.
Something about his face. His face, Kevin Bacon's face, Drew Barrymore's face. I can
see Drew Barrymore, yeah.
Either.
Also, Spawn the movie, for your comic book fixes.
Yes, Spawn.
I'll give that movie credit. They used a real suit for Spawn. That part of the suit wasn't CGI. They actually built a real-looking Spawn suit, and it looked fucking cool. I remember as a kid watching it, I'm like, this looks amazing. This looks exactly like Spawn. The cape was completely CGI, and this was CGI like in Mortal Kombat. Mm-hmm. But to the movie's credit, they made it as fucking massive as it was in the comics. In the comics, it's like this little character of Spawn, and then the cape is the rest of the page. And they did that in the movie, too. And I'm like, you know what? It's exactly like the comics. It doesn't look good, but this is 1997 or whatever.
You know what? They did it. So we also have Titanic. I hope they have that in 2 parts again, too. Just like the VHS. So you can watch that, and then you got to stop it, and then click over to the next Netflix.
Watch part 2 with, I have a child! I have a child! You don't remember that line, do
no.
you?
The only time I've seen Titanic, I wasn't supposed to be watching it because I was still very young. Mm-hmm. And the friend that I was hanging out with had stolen the VHS from her sister's room. She had an older sister. Nobody was home, so she took it. We were watching it, and the volume had to be on like 2 so nobody could hear, right? And then you're watching it, and then there's that scene with the boobs and the sex scenes, and you're like, whoa, this is real racy. And then a day later, I went to Wendy's, and they were playing the Titanic song, and I was like, oh, do my parents know? Are they going to figure it out? It's the only time I've ever seen Titanic.
It's funny how kid logic is, unless you're actually humming the song, they'll never know.
Right. But when you're a kid, you're like, oh, shit, they know.
Your parents are psychics. Yeah. Also, iZombie Season 3 will be making its way on there in case you don't have cable or any form of watching iZombie. Season 3 will be fully on Netflix, which definitely helps because some of the Netflix crowd only watch what is actually on Netflix, so they'll have the latest season.
We also have Castlevania Season 1. This is a Netflix original.
Oh my god, the preview to this looked so fucking good. I really can't wait till July comes. I mean, by the episode release, I don't know, but Castlevania Season 1, hell fucking yes, I'm watching all of this. And also Bad Santa 2, which we reviewed about a year ago. Mm-hmm. So if you are a fan of Bad Santa, I think you should still watch Bad Santa 2, but keep Bad Santa 1 in mind when you're seeing it because some of the same jokes are repeated, but they do actually build on Billy Bob Thornton's character, his history, and how he became the asshole that he is.
And finally, we have Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
As part of the Disney Netflix deal.
For a full list, as we said, you can head online, just Google July 2017 Netflix editions, and you'll be able to see everything right there.
As we mentioned with the Super NES Classic earlier, Kelli, nostalgia is a bitch. Mm-hmm. And Nickelodeon is banking on that shit. They are bringing back Rocko's Modern Life with a television movie next year.
I never would have guessed that this would have happened.
Neither would I.
If they said, Kelli, pick one show that they're going to make a TV movie out of. Here's $5 million.
Who would you have guessed? Like, what out of all
Not
those?
Rocko's Modern Life. Like, maybe Rugrats again? They keep doing that.
That probably would have been the very first one.
Yeah, Rugrats is probably, maybe Hey Arnold.
They are already doing that.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, aren't they doing a live action Hey Arnold?
I don't know if they're doing a live action, but they're doing a special as well for Hey Arnold.
So, yes, I mean, Rugrats or Hey Arnold is what I would have gone to first, not Rocco's Modern Life. It's like them picking Cat Dog or Angry Beavers or something.
Yeah, or Our Real Monsters.
Ugh.
I loved Rocco's Modern Life, and they had this movement about 4 years ago on a separate Nickelodeon channel. I think it was just called Nicktoons, but they had a 90s are the best or 90s rock. I don't remember what the segment was called, but after 10 p.m., they would play the classic Nicktoons cartoons unedited. Because there was a period in the early 2000s where the reruns of Rocco, of Ren and Stimpy, would be heavily edited from the jokes that people were now finding, like, okay, the choky chicken, that's not okay.
Nothing in Rocco's Modern Life was okay.
It's not Ren and Stimpy, though. Like, that's even worse.
No, I never watched Ren and Stimpy. It wasn't for me. It was like Beavis and Butthead. It's just not for me.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I watched Ren and Stimpy more than Beavis and Butthead, but it wasn't... I think I was maybe a little too young for it, but Rocco's Modern Life I fucking adored. And when they brought back that segment on this Nicktoons thing about, once again, right when the podcast started, I would say, I adored it because they brought back Rocco's Modern Life, they brought back Ren and Stimpy, they even had all of that playing. That's what it was. The 90s are all of that. The 90s are all of that.
I loved all that. And I loved Figure It Out, where they had all that cast in it too.
With Summer Sanders?
Yes. That wasn't her real name.
I forgot who. Yeah, you're probably right. Lori Beth. Was that her name? Lori Beth something? Just Lori Beth. She would always fucking figure it out. And she would get accused of, like, knowing the answers ahead of time. Like, someone gave you the answers so that these guys don't give away prizes. And she's like, no, I just figure it out.
I used to, like, plug my ears in the beginning and close my eyes so I couldn't figure it, and then I could play along with them and I would never get it right. They had an internet game. This was when I started using the internet, and you could go on there and they had like 10 different things where they gave you clues too so that you could figure it out. Yeah.
There was a Nickelodeon thing, it might have been with Figure It Out, where the Lunchables had like different letters. And if you could spell out Nickelodeon Splat, or I forget what it was, like you got all kinds, like you got $25,000.
The 90s were bitchin', man.
They were pretty cool as a kid. I don't know if, like, maybe right now as a kid I would have been happier. I have no idea. I can never know.
If Taco Bell started releasing Pogs again and I had to get to number 64 to win a 64, I'd be all over that. You don't even know.
Everyone under 25 is like, what the fuck kind of magical time?
And I'm just like, give me more tacos!
What do you mean when you started using the internet?
The internet has a beginning? Oh, yes, it does.
It's not eternal? So we have the synopsis of this 1 hour special, which is called Rocco's Modern Life Static Cling.
Quote, Heifer and Filbert embrace every aspect of new technology, social media, and the endless diversity of food trucks, while Rocco wholeheartedly believes his nostalgia for the past can save him from the tortures of the modern world. End quote.
This is definitely going to be aimed at a older fucking audience. There's going to be, the Choky Chicken's going to be back.
Oh, you know it.
And it's going to come back. It's going to come back hard. And
Is it now?
And Rocco, I bet you they're going to make fun of our generation right now of nostalgia is the best, and the old times were better. They're going to make fun of that with Rocco. Rocco is going to be the audience. I guarantee you that's what's going to happen. And
we're going to eat it up and we're going to love it.
Oh, we're going to adore it.
Yeah. We're going to be like, oh yeah, this is me.
You're right. We're so dumb.
Talk about where's my pogs.
The original cast will all be returning for the special.
And there's no other way to do it.
I know we've asked for Iron Giant on Blu-ray, and we've gotten it. We've asked for Batman Mask of the Phantasm on Blu-ray, and as of last week, we've gotten it, right? Mm-hmm. And we've also asked for Batman the Animated Series on Blu-ray, which is yet to be seen. Rocco's Modern Life is full and complete on DVD. May I please just put in a suggestion of, can I get this on Blu-ray? Because I don't want to play DVDs on my PS3. From all the years of working at GameStop, I understand that it can overheat your system, and I definitely don't want to... I don't know if the PS4 plays DVD. I've never tried it.
I don't know.
I guess I could buy the complete series on DVD, but I just don't want to risk ruining a system. And I know in the future, the DVD players are going to go the way of the VHS players, in which now it's like, you got to go through a specialized company to try to find one of those fucking things.
I found all my old VHSs the other day, and I'm real sad I can't ever watch them again.
You can. You just got to spend a little bit of money.
Nah. I would just rather buy it on Blu-ray and call it a day.
Some people are converting the VHS plays, like they'll play it and they'll record it on the computer and they'll have it as a digital file. And you'll see that a lot on YouTube, especially when you see like the VHS lines, like, holy shit, look at this shitty quality.
Love
this is
that.
VHS. So yeah, let's get Rocko's Modern Life on Blu-ray. But if not, maybe I'll eventually buy a dedicated DVD player just to play DVDs.
You could probably find one at a yard sale for like $10, filled with roaches. Perfect.
So now we've got some news about the MCU.
I feel like this is some bullshit about
It
the
is
MCU.
some fucking bullshit.
But according to Spider-Man Homecoming star Tom Holland, the Peter Parker first appeared on screen in the MCU back in Iron Man 2.
In case you don't know what this scene is, the young boy wears an Iron Man mask and attempts to blast a Stark robot, and right before he supposedly pretends to blast him, Iron Man flies up and lands behind him, blasts the Stark robot, and says, "Hey, good shot, kid," and flies back out. That is the scene, and it is literally nothing. It's a joke.
Clearly Peter Parker. Clearly. I could see it. How could you all not see it?
Well, let's see what Holland has to say. He told Entertainment Weekly, quote, "I can confirm that as of today, I literally had a conversation with Kevin Feige only 20 minutes ago. Maybe I've just done a big old spoiler, but it's out there now. It's cool. I like the idea that Peter Parker has been in the universe since the beginning," end quote.
So here's what I feel like that conversation went like. "Hey, Kevin, do you think that was really Spider-Man, Peter Parker, all the way back there in the beginning?" "Yeah, sure, kid, whatever." "Oh, it's really him. I literally had this conversation with him."
Literally had it.
Literally just had it.
The moment I found out that this little news story broke, I made the joke of that one masked thug in that scene where Spider-Man is stopping them at the ATM machine or the bank is the character of me. If we're just going to make shit up, it's the character of, I can pick out any listener, any broquette. That's actually Christopher. That's actually Bobby. That's actually Brian. Like anyone could, I can just make up any fucking cameo I want because that is no different than what they're doing right now for the MCU. Oh, the guy masked up, the guy that gets the taxi driver, it looks nothing like Neil, but that is Neil as a character in the movie. Like it's no more legitimate than what they're trying to do here.
I feel like this is a situation where the kid goes, "Hey, Mom, look at this picture." And the mom's driving and she's like, "Yeah, honey, it's real pretty."
It literally is.
And that's what happened. I don't know. Maybe they'll actually do something with it in the movie and there'll be a flashback and somebody will say, "Why do you want to do this?" And well, because this one time, and then we'll be like, "All right, guys, that's a cheap way to get out of this, but okay." That's
what people suspect is going to happen in Spider-Man Homecoming, that he has a conversation with Tony in which he says, you saved me a while ago when I admired you. I had the Iron Man mask in the Iron Man 2, and that was me right there. Like, people think that's, maybe it is the case. I think it's a cheap and silly way to do it, but
it is.
You know what? Whatever. This is not going to hinder the box office returns that Disney is going to have, and Sony actually, that Sony is going to have on the movie, because remember, the returns all go to Sony, merchandise goes to Disney. But I don't know, it doesn't, I don't think it reflects well on, it just kind of makes it feel cheap, you know what I mean?
It really doesn't. It's like they were all sitting around and saying, "Okay, so what motivation should we give him for wanting to do what he does?" Mm-hmm. And they said, "Well, remember in that one movie, because I was watching it the other night, there's this kid, we can just say that was him and go from there." And someone's like, "Yeah, that's a great idea." It's like,
sure, why not?
No, why don't you give the character like some background and some more life and not just say, "Oh yeah, it all ties together."
Someone did an even better version of this joke by saying that the little kid at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2, who also has a Spidey costume that's fighting the Rhino, that's a little Tony Stark.
I was going to say Miles Morales, but Tony Stark is way better.
We'll see if whatever ends up happening. We're not going to see Homecoming on opening weekend, but we will see it the following week, and we'll have a review right here on the podcast.
Keeping with the big screen, but switching over to DC... DC's latest animated film, Batman and Harley Quinn, will receive a one-night-only theatrical release on August 14th.
Last time this happened was with The Killing Joke.
Yes.
And did they make a killing, Kelli?
Woo, they sure did.
We have a quote here.
So much it was a joke. Sorry.
Quote here from Mary Ellen Thomas, who is Warner Brothers Home Entertainment Vice President, who said,
quote, "Fans of DC Universe original movies are a devoted legion, and never was that so evident than with the enthusiastic embracing of our Batman the Killing Joke Fathom Events presentation," end quote.
So basically she said, because money.
Because money.
And why not? It's Batman and Harley Quinn, the simplest of titles, but also all that you need. They could have called it Batman the Animated Series, Batman and Harley Quinn. They said, fuck that. Let's put Batman, Harley Quinn, and that literally could just be the title, and people will come see this.
I think they're going to get even more people than they did with the Killing Joke also, because yes, Killing Joke was big. But you know how that audience, you have all the people who love Suicide Squad, and then you got these little kids who are like, oh, it's animated, and it's Batman and Harley.
This is going to be interesting because I actually disagree. I think this will make less money than the Killing Joke, and that's because the Killing Joke is for a wider audience than our generation, which is Batman and Harley Quinn. There are a lot of older readers that, you know, grew up on the Killing Joke, that loved it and adored it, and they will go out and spend their expendable income on watching a Fathom events that don't like Harley Quinn, that think she's an annoying character. And then there are people our age who grew up with Batman the Animated Series who think Harley Quinn is great. She's one of the best modern characters in comics, or that transcended media onto another form of media. So yes, I will watch anything with Harley Quinn. And again, the animated series is also a focused group of people. It's not like kids today know what Batman animated series is, and we don't know what their cartoons are for the most part. So I actually think this will do less than Killing Joke, because Killing Joke was once again aimed at an older audience, at a wider audience, people that enjoyed the seminal work, whereas this is based on Batman the Animated Series, which is huge, but this is... they're pretty comparable. I do think, though, this will make less than the Killing Joke.
Well, let's take a bet on it. I think
we'll
it'll
take
make
a bet,
more.
yeah. But you got to remember, too, the Killing Joke was also when Mark Hamill, for years, has been saying, I will come back to the Joker if they do a Killing Joke with Kevin Conroy. And this was like the build-up. This was the event. The Batman and Harley Quinn is an event to us because it's the return of the animated series in some form, but it is not Mark Hamill doing the de facto, the ultimate Joker project, the ultimate Joker story.
We'll see. We'll see who's right. If I'm right, then I'm right for everything forever, which I already am.
Yeah, that's true. You've called it already. Batman and Harley Quinn, in case you cannot make it to the Fathom Events presentation, which I believe falls on a Monday, August 14th, they will get... You can buy Batman and Harley Quinn on Blu-ray on August 31st, so a little less than 2 weeks after that.
Flipping over to the live action side, we do have some more news from Batman director Matt Reeves on his vision for the upcoming solo Batman film.
A quote here from Mr. Matt Reeves. In an interview with the new trailer Buzz, he said, quote, "In all of my films, what I try to do, in an almost Hitchcockian sense, is use the camera and use the storytelling so that you become that character and you emphasize with that point of view. There's a chance to do an almost noir-driven detective version of Batman that is point-of-view driven in a very, very powerful way that will hopefully connect you to what's going on inside of his head and inside of his heart," end quote.
Sir, this has already been done. It's called Arkham Asylum, and it is a video game.
And that is not a movie. Let's do it in the fucking movie.
All right, do it there too. But I'm just saying, I was Batman in those games.
That's true. Everyone was the Batman. Yes. That was the tagline. Be the Batman.
And I was.
And you know what? If you are Emperor Palpatine, head of Warner Brothers, and someone says, I want to do what they did in Arkham Asylum and put it on a movie.
I'll say, who are you, Matt Reeves? I don't even know you.
I did those Planet of the Apes movies that Darth V. Daniel likes.
He likes a lot of movies. I don't know you.
I'm shocked. That tagline alone, that pitch alone, should be enough to be like, ka-ching, here you go, fucking money.
I don't know him. I've seen like one of your things.
One of the things, fans are buzzing about this shit because they're like, this is finally going to be a true detective story of Batman, which is huge in the comics. I mean, he's always figuring shit out.
It is called Detective Comics.
Exactly right. He's always figuring stuff out in the comics, and we've seen some of it in the movies, but never truly dived into it like the cartoons have, or like the comic books have always done. But to see a noir-driven detective story in which we are figuring things out along with Batman, that's exciting. That's very exciting to fans because that's a new aspect that is huge in Batman that, from the sound of it, is going to be a huge dive for Matt Reeves and a huge goal in creating and telling the story for the Batman.
As of right now, there is no official release date for this movie.
There are several villains that they could go with if we're trying to do a detective story, let's figure out what's happening type of story. It's going to be difficult to pull it off for the longtime Batman fans, I think. If they show us a trailer, just like they did in Arkham Knight, where it's like, you're wrong, old man. I'm the Arkham Knight.
Okay, Robin.
It's like, that's fucking Tim Drake. Or, I'm sorry, Jason Todd. That's fucking Jason Todd. You can rewind this episode to that first trailer before Arkham Knight ever released. And I was like, I think the Arkham Knight is Jason Todd. And then it turned out it was real. And I stopped talking about it on the podcast because I'm like, fuck, I think I figured it out.
I just ruined it for everybody. Great job, Dan.
So it's going to be hard to do that for an original film. It's either going to have to be like, yeah, it's a villain we've already known about, but they give us a twist and it's like, oh, wait, it's Clayface or something like they did in Arkham City. But it's exciting. I still think it's very exciting to see which villains and characters they use.
What if they did Raish?
I will happily take Raish again. We know Deathstroke is in it, but his role is lesser than what originally was. They've gone through some script rewrites. They could go with Hush. They could go with the Court of Owls. They can put in the Riddler somehow. I know the rumors that they're going to use various Batman villains in this. And there's also that picture that came up on Twitter from Jeff Johns' account. Well, actually, he retweeted it. I don't know the actor's name, but he plays the Penguin in Frozen. He was also LeFou in Beauty and the Beast recently.
Okay, yeah.
But he has a picture.
The Penguin in Frozen? The snowman in Frozen?
Oh, I just gave it away. He has a picture of himself holding the trade paperback of Batman Adventures Volume 1, which has the Penguin on the cover. And it's got Jeff Johns in it, along with John Berg. And then, of course, the actor himself holding the trade. And so we know the Penguin is going to show up. I know people are speculating, well, he could just be a voice actor. That's a live action thing. Like, Jeff Johns is right there. That's live action, bitch. It is going to be, that is the Penguin, literally. We're looking at him right now. So he's either going to show up in the Batgirl film, which I think is more likely, or, he will also show up, why not, again, in the Batman film as a lesser character. Maybe there's an Arkham Asylum breakout. How cool would it be to see all of these live action villains fly out or run out and run out? Let's fucking throw Man-Bat in there. Firefly, everyone. And
not Firefly.
And see this breakout scene that we've seen hundreds of times in the comics. And then have, someone be at the end of it. Maybe it is the Riddler. And again, I do think, like, if it were me and I were to say, why don't you just do the Court of Owls? I don't care if Gotham did it. Let's do it, like, for real. Let's really do the Court of Owls. Or Hush would be the other big one. But I think the other big possibility would be the Riddler. If you have someone like the Riddler who is...
a Riddler done right and not... being silly Jim Carrey.
In the 90s, people loved Jim Carrey, and they liked his Riddler just fine.
That was all over Taco Bell, too. I had pogs of that one also.
What about you, Kelly? The listeners might want to hear, what villain do you want to see show up in the live-action Batman film? And you can still use Harley Quinn, too, because we already have a live-action one. Why not pay Margot Robbie a couple hundreds of thousands of dollars to show up in this?
All the money. I would want to see Catwoman in there somewhere, because I think that's a very interesting dynamic, of course, between them. We all know how much I love them. Because then you could start out with the whole, she's a villain, but then he's got to team up with her, and she's an anti-villain, and she's really helping. But then in the end, she's got to go her own way. I don't know. He's got such a great lineup of villains. There's so many things that you could do. I don't know. I'm too indecisive.
Do you think Suicide Squad's Joker should show up in the Batman?
Not in the first one, no.
How about the Bat family, who they are about to do spin-off films of, like Nightwing, like Batgirl?
Yeah, they can show up, I guess.
Jason Todd, who we saw a hint of in BVS?
Yeah, Damien should be in here. That'd be cool.
Hell yeah, he fucking should be in there. I would love to see a live-action Damian Wayne.
But if you do that, then you have to have Raish, but that would fit in well with Deathstroke.
That's true, too. Yep.
They can make it happen.
They can do a Batman and Robin, title it Batman and Robin, and do a better Batman, which isn't hard to do, but again, do the seminal Batman and Robin story.
You could put Lady Shiva in there. Yeah, make it happen. Sure, whatever.
And 7 people would know who Lady Shiva is.
I would know.
So now we've got our last bit of news, and that has to do with how successful the first female superhero solo film, not counting Supergirl, is doing right now at the box office.
So successful. So according to Forbes, Wonder Woman has now passed the $600 million mark in global box office.
These earnings now put it ahead of Man of Steel and Iron Man 2, which Peter Parker was in.
Oh, he was in there.
4 superhero box office totals.
But 16th overall.
But there's no way these Wonder Woman cost I should have fucking looked that up. Did Wonder Woman cost more than Man of Steel? There's no way it cost more than Iron Man 2.
No.
I would not believe that shit.
Wonder Woman, they said, with marketing and everything, came out to about 400 mil, right?
Something, yeah, like the first time we talked about it, they would have already at least broken even by the time the episode released, which is always what a studio wants, because then you make, once again, all of the bonus and home video and all of the advertising releases in Blu-ray. This is huge for them. I mean, this is extremely profitable for Warner Brothers.
So Man of Steel cost $225 million to produce and another $150 to market.
That's more than Wonder Woman.
So about the same, because that's
Okay.
$375 million.
Okay, I got you. So Wonder Woman's was about that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's about the same. So we had said that Wonder Woman's was about 400 million a couple episodes
They were
back.
estimating something between like 336 and 405.
That's right.
So they didn't have an exact number.
Now surpassing Man of Steel and the positive buzz around it. Yeah, I mean, this is... it's really interesting, though, because it's very similar to Man of Steel, but Man of Steel, and now it has a sequel, but it took this long for it to receive one. But in Wonder Woman's case, they didn't have the expectation that they did for Man of Steel, in which maybe it underperformed for them, and that's why it doesn't have a Man of Steel 2. But for Wonder Woman, it's done extremely well for him. So, yeah, this is all still a huge success story for Diana Prince and for audience members out there, for fans of the DC movies and fans in general.
Women everywhere.
That's right, and for women everywhere.
Thank you.
I try not to make it about sex, Kelly, but you just keep bringing it back to that. You and the rest of the women. is that what you want? Okay, so now that's bad. I got you. Now it's bad.
If I say it's for women, it's fine. But if you do, it's not okay.
And this is why I married her, everyone.
Why? Because I argue.
Because you realize the fallacy here.
Yeah. Okay. Or the 10 years we've been together has programmed me to respond this way.
So good on everyone. Good on Wonder Woman and WB. And now we can move on to our Patreon shoutouts of the week.
This week, our shoutouts go to Alexander, who is at Swordfish Show on Twitter, and Lourdes and Katie.
You can check out Alex's YouTube channel. Head on over to purpleswordfish.com. It will redirect you straight on there. And he actually just did a full E3 show with Lazy Gaming Guys. So if you want I know I've told you about this in the past, but you really should check out this episode. If you want a more in-depth look at E3 and the games that we covered and didn't cover, please check out that E3 special, again, with friends of the show, Lazy Gaming Guys, at purpleswordfish.com.
And for Katie, she recently obtained the third appearance of Deathstroke, which is Uncanny X-Men and the New Teen Titans.
Huge congratulations to the biggest Deathstroke fan I know, Katie. And a huge thanks to Alexander, Lourdes, and Katie for your shoutouts this week, for your Patreon support, and to the rest of our Patreon backers as well.
If you too would like a Patreon shout out for as little as $1 a month, that's 25 cents an episode, you can go to patreon.com/thereasonsimebroke. Every little bit you contribute helps us make the show what it is every single week for you guys.
On our way to complete the next goal, we are so fucking close to finishing goal number 3. Once again, patreon.com/thereasonsimebroke. Or for a link to the Patreon, you can head on over to thereasonsimbroke.com. For as little as $1 a month, as you mentioned, you get your shout out. That equals out to about a quarter an episode. If you feel like you are getting $1 worth of entertainment each month, because once again, it's Patreon. So if you feel like you're getting $1 worth of entertainment each month, head on over to patreon.com/thereasonsimbroke.
But of course, our podcast will always be free. The best thing you can do is let your friends know about us. Leave us a review on iTunes. That helps other people find us.
And a huge thanks to decalavenue.com for the help at the $5 reward tier. And another thanks to Lazy Nerds Designs for the help with the merchandise and the t-shirts.
And with that, we will wrap up our news for the week and move into our comic book highlight.
If you thought you were going to find out if Catwoman said yes or no, you were severely mistaken.
Sort of.
And you should have seen this coming, because there is no way they're going to tell you right away if Selena Kyle said yes to Batman's proposal.
I've already figured it out.
You should have seen the fucking solicitation that said, we're going back to 0 year, and gone, oh shit, we're not going to know for several months because this is how you do seasons and that's how you do comic books. And that is our comic book highlight, Batman number 25.
This is War of Jokes and Riddles, Part 1. It's written by Tom King with art by Mikkel Janin, and the colorist is June Chung.
As you said, Part 1, this is a jumping on point. If you have not read Batman issues 1 through 24, fear not, because you can jump right on with number 25.
But they were great, so you should go read them.
Pick them up as single issues at your local comic book shop or as trade paperbacks. But otherwise, if you want in on the now, head on over to your local comic book shop. And on the new release wall right now, Batman number 25, what happens when the Joker approaches the Riddler?
You got that backwards, Dan. The Riddler came to the Joker.
Still had jokes and riddles in my mind. You're right. Riddler approaching the Joker. What happens when two geniuses confront each other and have Batman on their mind? This once again goes right back to 0 year. This is the period in which Gotham is in chaos, in which Batman is up and coming, in which Gotham faces its first real, true challenge that may decimate the entire fucking city. And in the middle of all of this, it is the Joker and the Riddler trying to figure out the Batman and trying to figure out why this man is keeping them from being... It's keeping them intrigued, but also keeping the Riddler constantly working and the Joker from laughing.
The only thing that would have made this book better is if Superman showed up and went, "No, guys, he's mine." Because that's pretty much what they did this whole issue, is they just talked about how, no, I have to kill Batman to be happy. No, I have to kill Batman to be happy. No, I have to kill him.
Who do you think is smarter, Kelly? Who has the bigger intellect? Is it the Riddler or is it the Joker himself?
The Joker.
You think so?
I
think
do
the Joker?
think so. I think Riddler is very smart, but the thing that Riddler doesn't have is he can't be spontaneous. He always has to plan things out, and I think that's what gives Joker the edge, because the Riddler thinks of everything, the best way I can put it is in a box.
Okay.
And it has to be in that box.
Sure.
Whereas I think the Joker is equally as smart, but he can think outside of that box.
I'm with you up to that point. I don't think the Joker is spontaneous. I think he plans out everything as well, and people may see it as chaotic or as spontaneous. He knows what he's fucking going to do as soon as you open your mouth, as soon as he fucking sees you.
Okay, the Dark Knight movie.
No, that's what the Dark Knight tried to... people were like, he's chaos. And it's like, no, he fucking planned everything from forever. And even the Joker in the comics has planned everything from forever. Just because you think it's random that he fucking blows someone away, that does not mean that he hasn't already thought about this ahead of time as soon as he saw that random Gothamite or the Batman as soon as he shows up. The one guy that Riddler and Joker cannot figure out is the Batman. And in this case, I don't want to spoil how the Joker reacts to the Riddler propositioning him. Is that even a word? Proposing?
I mean, a proposition, yes. To proposition someone is...
Proposing a plan to work together and go up against Batman. What happens when someone of equal intellect to the Joker approaches him and comes up with an offer? And it's exactly what you would think would happen. And it is, once again, a planned out thing because he has a bigger picture in mind. And that's where I was with you, in which he is thinking more than just the city. He's thinking more than just the Batman. Even that is he also thinks about his own intellect, his own satisfaction, and not just the Batman, but in finding that perfect joke. There's a million things going on at the same time, but all of it is planned. So yeah, I can definitely see what you're saying. I think Riddler would figure out Batman's plan quicker than the Joker would. But as you mentioned, the Joker can probably come up with a plan that the Batman would not figure out, but just manage to fucking stop him in time.
Overall, I really enjoyed this issue. It's kind of, you have these little word bubbles from Batman, so you're really inside his head as he's telling the story, and you're like, oh, no, what's going to happen? And then it ends with the best page I've ever seen in my life. Tom King is my hero.
Batman and Catwoman are in bed together, but they're just sleeping together. They're just in bed.
Yeah, they're sleeping together.
Yes, you're right. I agree. 100% they're sleeping together.
After she accepted his proposal, did we look at her finger for a ring?
Did you?
In this?
You should have.
I did not. I should have.
I bet you they don't show it. I guarantee you they don't show it. I'm flipping to that page right now.
They probably don't, but I think we should look. Just, make sure.
Nope, it is. You cannot see it at all. It is hidden in shadow right behind the Batman. You do not know if she said yes or no.
I'm sure she did because they're in bed together and she's actually listening to him. And,
So are you Team Joker or Team Riddler, Kelli?
I'm Team Joker.
I'm Team Riddler. Holy shit.
It was like Twilight all over again.
He fucking escaped prison without doing shit. Like, he just spoke. Well, he murdered the one guy, but everything else, like, he was just, like, speaking. He had no weapons, and he walked right fucking out.
And Joker seduced a therapist to escape jail. And then made her fall so in love with him. That
Look, one's more glamorous, and that's the Joker, and one's more calculating, and that's the Riddler. It all fits.
All right. Joker. All the way.
We shall see who wins in the end, and the answer is Batman.
Well, of course.
With this new arc, which we wholeheartedly recommend, and that is Batman number 25 from DC Rebirth, which that series has been, once again, on that continued upswing since the beginning of Rebirth. At the very beginning with Gotham Guy, it was just Gotham and Gotham Girl.
Yes.
That arc was, I think, the weakest of Tom King's Batman run. And since then, it's gotten better and better. It started with I Am Bane, and now it's like...
Then he proposed to Catwoman, and now they're in bed together?
We had rooftops, and now we've got the Joker and Riddler war, and it's getting good. It's good stuff. So it is rivaling Detective Comics for the best current Batman book out there.
Thank you, Tom King, for making all my dreams come true.
And that does wrap it up for our comic book highlight as we finish off episode number 250. For 300, just like we did with 200, we are going to have highlights for the past 100 episodes. We're halfway there. We're not going to be doing it for number 250, but I do have, believe it or not, markers already in place for the different episodes and different clips that I'm going to pick out.
Funny things that I have said?
Of course it is. But we are halfway there. I mean, not a lot of episodes, not a lot of podcasts make it to 250, and then many make it to 1,050. So just the fact that we've made it this far is not a testament to Kelli and I meeting every week. It is a testament to all of you. It is because of your support, because you are tuning in to the episodes, because there are people out there listening, there are brokettes, that we keep doing this. It's not necessarily we must do it every single week because it is a hobby. It is because there are people supporting us. There are obviously days and weeks and months in which maybe, putting together the show notes are a bit of a struggle. For editing this over an hour-long episode is a struggle. Or for meeting up once again for the weekend and talking about these things is a struggle. But the fuel, the thing that continues it, is the support, is the downloads, is the feedback, is the fact that you are there. If you don't have a Twitter, Facebook, anything, if you don't contact us at all, but you are downloading the episode every single week or whenever you can, you are tuning in, you are subscribed to the show in some form or the other, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, whatever it may be, that matters. And that is what keeps us going. That is the fuel. And it continues. We've reached 250 episodes because of you.
And we cannot thank you guys enough for all of that support. Exactly as Daniel says, that's what drives us to keep doing what we do every single week and allows us to grow together and work through frustrations together.
That's right.
And have a lot of fun together, I think.
Yeah, I think if it's gotten easier, and in many ways it has, it is once again because of listeners. It is because of you guys out there constantly interacting, downloading, listening. Every action you take to benefit the show, and again, even if it's just a download and you're listening, that is the whole basis of the podcast, that we put something out and people consume it. And everything else is a bonus. When you interact with us, when you back us on Patreon, when you tweet at us, when you talk about the people that I do know, that I do see person to person every week or every day, and they talk about the show, all of that adds up to us wanting to continue to do the show. And 250 episodes, again, it's been a struggle and it's been a huge reward. It's been both. Anyone that has a hobby knows that it is not all fun and games. There is work to be done. There are hurdles to go over, and then there are tons of benefits that you reap with it. And that is always worth all of everything else. And that is why we continue doing it. And it is, once again, all thanks to the listeners. And that is something that we've always maintained as we do the episodes, as we continue to do the work and do the show for all of you every single week. And while most of the thanks, of course, does go out to the listeners, I always want to thank my co-host Kelli, because I know we would lose a huge chunk of our listeners if, we lost you, if you weren't around.
It's only because I'm a lady.
Once again, you're bringing in sex, Kelli.
I'm allowed to say it because I'm me. Okay.
See, the only reason we have so many listeners, Kelli, is because you're a girl. See, now it's different.
Yeah, because you said it instead of me. I thank you for thanking me, but most of it goes out to you too. And all the work that you put into it. There's so many hours outside of this hour that we sit down that you're putting into looking up these news shows and editing these things. And there's a lot of weeks where without you, I would just sit in the bed and read my fan fiction.
Just scroll on your phone.
That would be it. And
scroll your life away.
Yeah, look, I could do a great podcast about fan fiction. And today I read this story.
I'm sure there's room for that out there too.
There probably is. So thank you for all the effort that you put into this and for finding news stories that I enjoy as well. But I mean, you could throw in more fan fiction. Vegeta Bulma things.
Aside from I think I've said the important thing, and that's we won't continue. And if the audience ever disappeared, that would be it, that would be it for the podcast. And thankfully there are so many Brokettes out there, new and old, that have stuck around, that have given us a shot. And if this is your first episode, I want to thank you for tuning in and for giving it a try. Hopefully there was something on today's show, and for any long-time listeners, hopefully there is something every week that you take away, that you do find valuable, that you do laugh at, that you do learn from. And if not, that you just find entertaining. If we just try to hit different aspects of people's lives that they may find enjoyable, and if we hit that with you, then we've done our job. And I think we've succeeded in that aspect of it. You try to make something fun, and if you learn, and once again, it's all about the interaction and about you. So if we hit that, then I think we've had a successful show and a successful episode.
And of course, guys, our show is always evolving. So again, this is for you. We can't stress that enough. If there's things that you want to hear, things you want us to touch on, things you might want us to do differently, of course, reach out to us. We have Twitter, we have Facebook. Daniel's on Twitter. All the time. all the time.
I never know if we're nailing it every week or if our listeners are much too kind, because I don't hear negative feedback from Brokettes.
Well, it's the internet. I feel like someone would give us something negative.
We get negative reviews on iTunes, but none of them. We've gotten one negative one, and it wasn't a written review. It was just a 1-star rating, and it's like, damn it! Like, it just. Maybe, I don't know. Like, I still don't know if people are just happy with what we're putting out. Like, this is great, this is fine, or maybe if there's something else. But as you mentioned, that we're always striving to grow and change. One of the examples is last week we have the Patreon jingle, which we worked with someone else to put together, and it's out there now. So if you don't find something wrong with it, I'm always going to find something wrong with every episode. Believe me, and you know it.
Oh yeah, I know it. I hear it.
It is. And you have to be on your toes. I think if you get comfortable with your product, and that's when I think it starts to slip, and you always have to find ways to stay sharp. So it'll help as well if you have feedback, if you want to hear more of something. If our audience mainly leans towards comics or video games or Batman, we'll give you more of those stories.
But
we'll give you more of that. I've always joked that, if we covered more Marvel or ABC or Disney, that our podcast would have grown quicker. But at this point, the tables are starting to turn a little bit. Definitely in the comics now. Like, it's more DC than anything else. Marvel readers aren't happy. If that ever shifts in the movie side, I'll be like, look, guys, we've been here for the last
here the whole time.
Almost 5 years. We're going to hit 5 years in September, Brokettes. 5 years in September since we've started the podcast. And once again, it's all a testament to all of you, and a huge thanks. And, I can't say it enough times, and I'm sorry if I repeat myself, and I'm sorry if we did it before episode 250, but it is a huge thanks to all the Brokettes out there.
But with that, before we get too mushy, we will go ahead and wrap up our show. Again, head over to thereasonsimbroke.com. You can see everywhere you can listen to us. We got a great merchandise shop over there, links to Patreon, everything you need on that website.
If you are a new listener, you can find the link to everywhere you can subscribe as well. Let's say you ran across this on another podcatcher or on YouTube, and you're like, I want this on the go. you can head on over to thereasonsimbroke.com. There are links at the bottom of the page and underneath the live podcast player that you can subscribe to your favorite podcatcher. If there's a specific app that you enjoy, let us know. If we're not on there, we will get the show on there. But aside from that, I think that about does it for episode number 250. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kelli.
We'll see you next week.